This is Dr. Lee. Now we will cover the musculoskeletal system part 2, MBC 101, Unit 6. The objectives for this presentation are to identify the organs and other structures of the musculoskeletal system. We will define, pronounce, and spell the types of body movements. Define and spell the word parts. Build and analyze the medical terms using word parts. We will define, pronounce, and spell the disease and disorder diagnostics, the surgical and complementary terms for the musculoskeletal system. We will also interpret the meanings of the abbreviations, and we will read medical documents and determine medical terminology contained in them. Lastly, we will identify and use plural endings. So let's talk first about the joints. Joints hold bones together and make movement possible. You first have ligaments. Those are flexible, very tough bands of fiber that connects tissue and attaches one bone to another at a joint. You have a tendon, which is a band of fibrous connective tissue that attaches muscles to the bones. And you have bursa, which are small, fluid-filled sac that allows easy movement of one part of the joint over another. Meniscus are crescent-shaped cartilage found in the knee, and an intervertebral disc are cartilaginous discs found between each vertebrae in the spine. Now, the synovia is a fluid secreted by the synovial membrane, and that's found in joint cavities. So let's look at a close-up of the knee joint right here, and you can see how it all works together. So you have your ligament, which is kind of like that bluish gray fibrous tissue that you see there. You have the meniscus, which sort of like provides this buffer between the two joints. You have the ligaments of the muscle that hold that muscle together with the bone. And you have the tibia itself, which is the bone, and the femur, which is the thigh bone, and it just kind of all comes together. You have this beautiful patella bone, and it all held together with all these ligaments and meniscus and cartilage. So you have the skeletal muscles, which are striated, and these are attached to bones by tendons and make body movement possible. Skeletal muscles produce action by pulling and by working in pairs, also known as voluntary muscles because we have control over these muscles. We can tell them when to move and when not to. Again, here's a very good graph of the musculoskeletal system or the muscular system. All right, so you have all these wonderful muscles. You have your deltoids and your abdominal obliques and your rectus femoris and your fibulus longus and your tensors and your flexors and your brachials. It's a beautiful thing to behold. Now we have smooth muscles, which are unstriated. They are located in internal organs, such as the walls of blood vessels and the digestive tract. They're also called involuntary muscles sometimes because they respond to impulses from the autonomic nerves, and they're not necessarily controlled voluntarily. Cardiac muscles form most of the wall of the heart, and its involuntary contraction produces the heart. So here's some body movements that we are able to do because of our musculoskeletal system. You can flex, you can extend, you can abduct, you can rotate. Here's some complications, right, of your musculoskeletal system. You have a bunion, which is kind of like a growth, if you will, in one of your joints of your toes. You have fractures oftentimes, especially if you have very active children in sports and the like, or very elderly patients. You can also have those. There's some different types of fractures that you can have. You can have herniated disc, If you put a lot of pressure or have a very weird movements, you can definitely put pressure on your spinal cord and therefore rupture or disrupt one of the discs in that vertebra. And here is a common way to fix those herniated disc problems with your vertebra, with a discectomy or discectomy. And that concludes this presentation. See you next presentation.